Hi, I'm Alex from BC Designer, and in this video we're going to talk about SWOT plus Strategy Framework. And here is our plan for this video. We'll start with the general introduction of what SWOT is and where it stands in strategic planning. Then we'll talk about SWOT plus Strategy Framework. And finally, I'm going to share some example of using this SWOT plus strategy framework using some templates. So let's start with a general question. What is SWOT analysis? And you all know this diagram that you can see on the right, where we have some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that's what SWOT is all about. Actually, there is a different, more sarcastic acronym for SWOT, which is a simple waste of time. Yeah, probably because of SWOT deals with some general ideas, and sometimes it feels like it doesn't add any value. So let's see if SWOT actually can help and how can we improve it. And the basic SWOT analysis actually helps us to answer two questions. One is where our organization is today, and that's what we map in their internal perspectives, internal components of SWOT, which are strengths and weaknesses. And the second question is how the strategy of the organization is shaped by some external factors. In this case, we're talking about the components of SWOT that are opportunities and threats. And talking about the place of SWOT analysis in strategic planning, I would like to use this infographic that we actually discussed in one of our articles on our website. And this infographic shows how we move from step one, where we define some general things like mission, vision, and values. And we're trying then to formulate some business ideas, business insights on the step two, where we use different methods, including SWOT, of course. So it's a kind of strategy formulation. And then we have step three, that is about strategy description, where we normally use strategy maps. So my point is that SWOT is really good for step two, the step where we come up with some business hypothesis, where we formulate our strategy, but it's not really a suitable tool for the step three, where we describe the strategy. Okay, now let's do some basic SWOT analysis, and I'm going to use some thoughts, some ideas about our own company to illustrate how it is working. So let's start with trends. One of our strengths is that we have a good knowledge in performance measurement domain. Yeah, so we do the software for performance measurement for strategy execution. So we have some good knowledge in this domain. And there is also an opportunity that we saw recently, that SEO, search engine optimization, is a hot topic. Yeah, and we do a lot of SEO in-house, so why don't we use this opportunity? Why don't we match this opportunity with one of our strengths? And we did it by providing our prospective clients with a new content where we discuss the key performance indicators that people can use to track their efforts in terms of search engine optimization. So that's an example of how we can match these two pairs of strengths and opportunity and respond to it. Another example, weaknesses and threats. One of our weaknesses is that our customers are actually located across the globe. So we cannot provide in-person support to all of them. Yeah, and that's obviously is one of our weaknesses. And moreover, there is a threat from our competitors who Some of them are presented locally, and they can provide personal experience to the clients. Yeah. So how we manage this? In this case, we convert this weakness and this threat into something that we can manage. And in our case, the response was to focus on very detailed, very uh, useful video tutorials for all functions of our software. So imagine that if you're a client of BC Designer, you know how it works. If you're not, I will give you a quick note. So imagine you're using some feature of the software and you struggled with it. You don't know how to use it. So in a case of, let's say, normal company, you would call, you would wait for a person to respond. Probably the person wouldn't be able to respond right away. Well, in our case, you just click on a camera icon right away in the software, and you're redirected to the part of our manual where you have a video tutorial for this very function of the software, where we explain all the details you need to know. So that's the example of how we converted the weakness and the threat into something that we can manage. Again, that's where the SWOT is the most useful for. It's useful on the stage where we come up with some business hypotheses, when we discuss different options, when we brainstorm them. And why don't we invent something to make it easier to convert those ideas that we have created using SWOT analysis into a strategy, into our strategy map? Why don't we merge these two frameworks in some way? And actually we can do this. So instead of using this SWOT diagram, we can use this diagram. So instead of 2x2 matrix, I now have 4x4 matrix. And as you can see, I have the same 4 here. I have strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But in the contrast from SWOT analysis, from the classical SWOT analysis, we also have 4 additional perspectives that actually come from the Kaplan and Norton Balanced Scorecard framework. And these perspectives suggest that we will be looking at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats from the viewpoint of different perspectives. So we're not just thinking about our clients, but we also try to think about all these from the viewpoint of our internal business, from the viewpoint of how we innovate, from the viewpoint of finance. So let's give it a try. Let's start with mapping the previous findings that we mapped on a classical SWOT diagram. Now let's try to map them on this SWOT+S, SWOT+Strategy diagram. And remember why we're doing this. We're doing this because we want to make these 2 steps closer. We want to make the transition from the step 2 to the step 3 a little bit easier. So let's practice it. First of all, we discussed that one of the weaknesses that we have is that there is no in-person support. So we map it in a customer perspective. Why? Because in-person support, it's about our customers, it's about the way we communicate with customers. So it's one of the weaknesses that I map here. And what about threats? The competitors are present on the certain markets, and they have local presence. So it's a threat. Again, where to put it? It's a finance, customer, internal, or innovation perspective. It's more relevant to customer perspective. Okay. And then we have opportunity that search engine optimization is a hot topic. Yeah? Where should we map it? It's not about finance. It's not about internal processes. And as long as we already know that it's a hot topic, so it's not about learning and growth, it's not about innovations. Again, it's more relevant for customer perspective. And we discussed that we can use our knowledge of performance measurement and what it is. It is where we should place it. It's our internal knowledge, so I have put it into the internal business processes perspective. Okay, and we could stop on this level, but I see I have here some other perspectives like finance and innovation perspectives. The last one, the learning and growth perspective. So let's do a SWOT analysis for thinking about the last perspective. And thinking in this way, in this context, I would say that one of our weaknesses is that we cannot provide, cannot get feedback from our customers personally. Yeah? So we don't meet with customers in person, so we cannot get this feedback personally. And this is our weakness. What about strengths? We do live calls. Yeah? And during these live calls, like call on Skype on whatever platform, we can also learn from customers. And for these live calls, we can organize them fast. We don't need to arrange any travel. It's our strength. And what about threats? Well, thinking about live calls, there are some technical problems that we might face, like something is not working in browser of client or something like this. And of course, there are some organizational threats, like people won't show up and things like this. So again, we instead of using just 4 perspectives of classical SWOT, we extended the matrix with 4 perspectives: finance, customer, internal business processes, learning and growth. And we're able to map additional findings in these perspectives. And I think it's more, this representation is clear, and in some cases it will better than having it in a 2x2 matrix. Okay, so now let's convert these findings into the strategy, because my promise was that it will be easier for us to convert the findings of SWOT analysis, in this case SWOT+S analysis, into the strategy map. So let's see how we can do this. Learning and growth perspective. So we have our strengths, which is that we're doing some live calls, and well, we're already doing them. And strategy about changing things, achieving something new. So how can we convert this into some actionable item? I suggest to focus on training our team to engage with customers better. Yeah, so it's not just about making some call, but it's about certain preparations. It's about following certain patterns and so on and so forth. And it's also important to to listen to the customers, to be able to get some feedback from them. So I formulate all this under the umbrella of this goal: train team to engage with customer. So that's how we had these strengths. That's how this strength is now represented on this strategy map and in the form of this goal. We also had another threat that I have discussed, that people won't show up, that there are some technical problems of the call. Again, that's what the SWOT analysis gave us, but we cannot use it directly on our strategy because it's actually not really actionable. Yeah, so how we can convert this into some action? We can formulate this in the form of this goal: find reliable platforms for demo call. Yeah? And yeah, by the way, as long as we're doing this for on a strategy map, we can align some indicators with this. Yeah, so what do we mean by reliable platform? What do we mean by a good platform to do call? For example, we can look at the time that people need to set up environment needed for a call. Yeah, so ideally, it would be just like clicking one link and that's it, without any installation, without anything. So in this case, Skype sounds like a good platform because people are familiar with this platform and most of them have them on their computers. Okay, we're not talking here about some limitations. In some cases, Skype is not possible to use in some business environments. Okay, so we have 2 goals. Now let's move to the internal business perspective. Okay, so one goal, I think it came naturally. Like we need to have some smooth call experience, and we need to integrate it in some way. And another goal, I don't have it clear yet. So we have our weakness that there is no in-person support. What we're going to do about this? Again, in our case, we produce video tutorials, high quality, up-to-date video tutorials that people like. Yeah, so that's what we do internally. Again, we cannot manage with this weakness on the strategy map. No in-person support. Okay, that's our reasoning, our rationale behind the goal. But what should we do about this? In our case, that's what we did. We produced high-quality video tutorials. Again, moving up, customer perspective. On this level, I don't have any hypothesis that we have created from SWOT analysis. So I will reuse something that we had in our minds before and during and after SWOT analysis. Yeah, we need to help our customers unlock key functions of the product. That's a general goal, but now after doing SWOT analysis, I know how we're going to achieve this. Yeah, we will provide smooth call experience, and this will be achieved by training our team. And we also will do and continue doing producing high quality video tutorials. And these are our internal goals. Yeah. So, having the goal in customer perspective, we can also do two improvements to it, because on a level of strategy, we need to connect our top level strategic goals, like help customers unlock key functions of the product. It's a kind of top level strategic goals. I think any product company want to do this. The question is how we're going to do this and how we're going to measure our progress on the way. So to answer the question about how we're going to do this, I will use the initiatives. And I have here two initiatives. One is that's what we have discussed before, personalized live calls and up-to-date video tutorials. That's two of the initiatives that we're going to implement. And we also have here two lagging indicators that will tell us if we are on the right track with this strategy, with this goal. So we'll measure the number of engaged users. In some of the articles on our website, I explain how we are measuring this. And we'll also check that video tutorials are up to date, the percent of video tutorials that are up to date. Okay, again, we're finishing the strategy to answer the question that I have here. If we satisfy the needs of our customers, what needs to unlock key functions of the product? What outcomes will our stakeholders see? Well, that's what we expect to see. We expect to see that lifetime value of our customers' growth. Yeah, so it's a general goal, but again, we're not going to go into the details. That's it. We have converted our SWOT into SWOT+Strategy Template, and this, I hope, proved to you that it's something more useful than a classical SWOT, because it was easier to move from SWOT+S Template to the strategy map. And again, some thoughts about what to do with this strategy map. One thought that I would recommend to make a copy of your SWOT analysis. If you do it on a classical SWOT diagram or on using a SWOT+S template, make a copy of this diagram. Why? Because when you have your goals, like I have here some goals on this strategy map, sometimes it's hard to understand what is the rationale behind them. What are the reasons why we have these very goals? And the SWOT analysis is a kind of answer to this question. So my recommendation is that you have a copy of this SWOT diagram just for a case you need to go back and understand why you have this. Again, if you're using software, you just keep a copy of your scorecard, of your strategy map, of your SWOT diagram. Once you did it, the next step is to make your strategy more tangible, more controllable. How to do this? Like we did for the customer perspective, we have aligned 2 indicators with the goal. So now we know how we are going to measure this goal, how we're going to understand if actually more people unlocked the key functions of the product. We will be looking at that indicators. And we can also add some leading indicators as well. Yeah, not just login indicators, but leading that will quantify our success factors. And what we're going to do then? Well, we'll do what is called strategy execution. So we will add more action plans like we did. We added 2 initiatives, personalized live calls and up-to-date video tutorials. We'll add more initiatives like this. We'll assign some persons responsible for some goals, for some indicators. And if you're using software like BC Designer, you will go to Alerts tab and you will set up some automatic alerts to keep your team accountable. We'll create local versions of this strategy and we'll cascade some of the goals to other people in our team. We'll give some permissions to other members of our team so that they can see certain goals, certain indicators. We'll also create some dashboards to have a visual picture of how we are progressing. And that's all. I thank you for your attention. And should you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments for this video or get in touch with our team. And a few thoughts about what we have used during this video. The tool that you saw, this map and this panel is from BC Designer Online. And you can sign up with a free account at this platform, and it's free for small projects. And if you're using BC Designer already, or if you plan to give it a try, you will find the mentioned SWOT+S template among different templates that we have in the software. So you can start using that template and give a try your ideas, do a SWOT+S analysis, and try converting it into a strategy map. Thank you for your attention.